And Australia's 5 major internet service providers will try to crack down on online piracy through a new trial.
Now, as part of the plan, they're going to send warning notices to suspected illegal downloaders while helping rights holders to pursue serial offenders through the courts. I guess they'll have the link, they'll have the chain to actually track them down because they provide the internet service. And of course, you're talking there about Telstra and everyone else. Luke Hopewell is a technology journalist with ZDNet and he joins us now. Luke Hopewell, good to talk to you again. Good morning.
Good to speak to you. How are you?
Interesting, when you look at this plan, this idea from those major internet service providers, Telstra, Optus, iNet, iPrimus and the like, you wonder why they haven't thought of this earlier, because they provide the line. They can follow, if you like, the digital trail. Do you think it'll work?
Well, there's been many different discussions about how to handle a copyright infringement scheme before between the industry, rights holders and ISPs. Who's liable for copyright infringement? There's a case set to go before the High Court in the next couple of days, the IINet versus the Australian Federation Against Copyright Theft, which otherwise known as AFACT. And AFACT is alleging that IINet should be held responsible for the actual downloading its users have been doing. That's an appeal process that has been going for some time now, and we're set to receive a ruling on that in the next couple of days.
All right, but that's one aspect of just who's going to be responsible for it. But in this particular attempt, are then, in your view, the internet service providers trying this so that they won't be held liable in the future? Is it a way of trying to track down the serial offenders so they can point the finger and say, look, it's this guy over here, go and deal with him?
It certainly provides clearer boundaries for liability of internet service providers, for example. So we might see that if this proposal is in fact enacted, that we avoid an IINet style problem in the future. But what it's supposed to be is more a collaborative effort between rights holders, ISPs, and almost users as well, because there is a certain level of education here that tells people that what they're doing is actually illegal.
Is it trackable? Can the internet service providers actually track who is downloading, I don't know, the latest CD from some artist?
Well, this is the interesting question, is how it's actually going to be identified. Certain commentators have pointed out that are they going to identify it by the actual file name that you download, and would pirate uploaders just actually change the file name so it looks like you're not downloading anything illegal? And if you have an open Wi-Fi network at home, for example, what's to stop you from falling victim to drive-by pirates? People who stop outside your house, for example, or wander into into the zone where the Wi-Fi is available and start downloading using your connection. There is an appeals process for that sort of thing, but there's still a lot of uncertainty about how it's actually going to take place.
I'm tempted to say that if you haven't put a password on your open Wi-Fi network at home, you're a goose. But anyway,
yeah.
Maybe we should just put that out there this morning from
that's
ZDNet and the ABC. Put a password
network
on it. Yeah, that's right. That means then that they're watching everything that I do? They can actually tell every little thing that I download?
Well, this comes back to that uncertainty. They say that if they detect piracy, they'll be matching that up against the ISP address. The IP address that's actually done it on that ISP.
Right.
If they can't match it up, they won't send the notice. But if they can match it up, they'll send you either a warning or an education or a discovery notice, depending on how many you've had before.
Look, there's actually a question here from via Twitter from one of our viewers this morning. Will parents / account holders potentially be liable for illegal downloads on home Wi-Fi networks? I guess the answer to that is yes. If it's your account and even if your kid is doing it, you're potentially liable.
Well, I suppose that's a very valid consideration, and it's a very good question, because it does depend on who the account holder is. Obviously, that comes back to the question of who's using the service, and that's why they're matching up to an IP address, because those are different by computer, so you can tell whether it's your son or your brother or someone who's living with you, rather than just the person that the account holder's in. So whether you get the notice in your mailbox as the account holder and then dob in your son or housemate,
dob in your 10-year-old
is certainly is certainly going to be interesting. But it is going to be their IP address, so it's going to point pretty squarely to them.
What about it, the suggestion just to wrap up this morning, don't steal? How does that work as a proposition, Luke?
As in, don't pirate in the first place?
Don't pirate.
Well, I mean, the reason they're sending out education notices as the first warning, they send a first warning as well as an education pack to tell people that what they're doing is actually wrong. because a lot of people, a lot of the time, think, well, gee, this free music and free movie service is great. They actually think it's a service as opposed to online piracy. So it's letting them know that this is actually wrong. And research has suggested that people actually, the accidental offenders, if you will, actually stop doing it once they've been warned.
All right, look, good to talk to you this morning about this, Luke Hopewell. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Virginia.